Today I want to talk about how can you get your ex back. And first of all, we need to understand sometimes things need to break for them to come back together in the more aligned, in the more beautiful, in a better foundation, because for whatever kind of reason, things didn't really go quite as planned. Wrong timing, things kind of get out of hand for whatever kind of reason, but no one really has done anything majorly wrong. It just didn't really work quite the way how you potentially envisioned it. Now, let me put the caveat on this though. If you're trying to get back with your ex because you feel lonely, because you want to go back to some familiarity and some comfort, even though you kind of know, man, this man hasn't really treated me right. If you know that the treatment and the investment that you got from your ex wasn't the right one, wasn't good, and he actually misbehaved in many, many ways, majorly, whatever that may be for you, then this video is not for you. I want to make that clear. But if you do believe, no, this is a really strong connection, no one has done anything majorly wrong, and you kind of want to rekindle it in a way, but for whatever kind of reason, it didn't really work out quite well, and you don't really know quite how to put it back together in the right way, then keep watching. The first and most important thing in the very beginning, you need to shift these power dynamics. Now, what do I mean by this? First of all, don't back. If you really request and ask him to come back and let's give it another try and let's give it another shot and this and that, and you really you sound so desperate and you sound so weak in the way how you would do that. That's not the way how he's going to be attracted to you again. If he's going to go back together with you in a situation when you actually behave and act like this, then he doesn't really do it for the right reasons either. It's either he doesn't want to see you in pain, so therefore in some ways you manipulated him, or he allowed himself to be manipulated by the situation, coming back together with you, even though there were clear reasons for him why he didn't want to be together with you. And that's why you guys broke up. So that's not the right way. Don't back. Now, on top of it, and that's why I'm talking about shifting power dynamics, what really happened here is he made decisions for his life that tremendously and dramatically impacted your life. So in this case, he took charge and control of his life. He really is you know what? Something is not aligned. It doesn't feel right. My heart is not in the right place. So therefore, he made some big shifts and changes in his life. The reason why this is so impactful for you is because now the consequences for you are dramatic, right? So now all of a sudden you're not in a relationship anymore. And what that means, rather than you being in power and in control of your own life, he took that kind of away from you. So you need to come back into your own sovereignty. You need to come back into control and into charge of your own life. So forget him for a second. So that's really, really important. How do we do this? First off, I really always recommend a no contact period. Why? Because this gives you an opportunity to recalibrate. Because right now, your nervous system is so in a high intensity that you can't think straight, you can't move straight, you can't act straight. There's so many things that are tremendously impacted again on your end because of the decisions that he has made. That needs to shift and change. You need to come back into your own foundation. Why this no contact period also helps a lot, because if you don't reach out to him, that's gonna make him a little bit confused, because he thinks, well, she's probably gonna reach out to me. She's trying to rekindle, she's trying to do this, she's going to chase me, she's going to hunt me, and all these other thoughts that, he's going to have because he took the power back, and obviously you kind of want to shift and change that. The first and foremost thing that a lot of people that are emotionally in pain are doing, they're basically doing the wrong thing. They're trying to take that power back in trying to manipulate and trying to change someone else's mind rather than coming back to themselves and focusing here. Now, if you would do that, you end up in this, I call it the addiction cycle. You chase him, you give him a bunch of attention. He's obviously going to like that attention. Maybe even gets a bunch of girlfriend treatment on top of it, because he's gonna string you along, keeps you, in his field. And then you ultimately end up in this hope cycle within the addiction cycle, which means constantly yes and no and maybe he's going to change his mind now, and let me give him some sex on top of it, and he's going to take all of this, obviously. But he was very clear, it's no, I don't want to be together with you. And he very likely probably is also going to, in that cycle that I just described, is continuously expressing that to you. Hey, I just want to be friends, and I'm going to go deeper into this in a second too. We can figure out what this is now, but I don't want to be in a relationship. I need to find myself, basically, is what he's going to say. So the message that you're sending when you go into a no contact period, though, is like, you know what? I'm actually really good. My standards are like, I'm perfectly fine. Emotionally, I'm doing well. You know, my standards are much higher because I don't want to be with someone who doesn't want to be with me. And that's going to confuse him even more, because now all of a sudden he's like, whoa, wait a second. I broke up with him. I thought I should be in power, but now she's going to live her life. She's going to do her thing. He doesn't hear anything from you. He doesn't hear any of, you know, even your own emotional turmoil that you might go through. He has no clue about that. So for him, everything is like, what's going on? It should be the other way around, but it's not. So now all of a sudden his curiosity comes in. And that's why also the no friends with your ex, especially in the beginning. This is my third point, by the way. Be no friends with your ex, especially when you still are emotionally very much attached to that man. Why? Because you don't want to stick around while he's adjusting life without you. Basically, if you would be friends with your ex, if you're not going to do this no contact period until you find your own sovereignty again, what that means is like, you're going to stick around, you're going to give him everything that he wants, you're going to keep yourself in this addiction and pain cycle longer and longer and longer, and he's just going to get all the benefits. So we don't want to do that. Number 4 is we need to stop chasing the old relationship, because if you haven't changed and you're still the same and he still is the same because, you know, he's just going to keep going on with his life, then what you're doing is you're going to end up, even if you would get together, you're just going to end up in the same relationship patterns, in the same relationship habits, in the same relationship style again. What's going to happen? You're also going to have the same outcome again, which is another breakup, rather sooner than later, but it will definitely happen. That's almost like a for sure thing. So instead, what you want to do is like, you want to look into the mirror and see like, what are the things that I really didn't like in this relationship? What are the things that I didn't like about myself in that relationship? What are the things in him that didn't really quite suit me and I put a blind eye to this? All of these things, you want to dive deeper into this. You want to do the work. You want to go into like the personal development, really. You know, figure out what were your associations towards him? What were your associations towards relationships? Where were these associations are coming from? Are they really healthy? Or have you basically just avoided dealing with certain things that happened in your past and you just bring it into the now, and now you want to use him in order to fill that gap that you haven't really quite filled within yourself? So what do you really want? Obviously, you want to become a sovereign, powerful, confident, independent woman where he is the icing on the cake, where he's an addition rather than he becomes your source of like needing to fulfill you. That's never going to work. So really, stop chasing the old relationship, find your own sovereign relationship within you, because only then there will be potentially a change for you to shift and change the relationship in the future with that ex again. Only once you shifted the power dynamics, only when you have found yourself and came back to a more sovereign being, which you will need the no contact period. That phase is so important to recalibrate. And only when you stop chasing the old relationship and you found the clarity of what you really want. Which brings me to today's sponsor. If you're stuck, lost, or confused when it comes to your relationship with men, and you don't know how to communicate your needs to him in a way that makes you feel seen, loved, and heard, then you must see this. Since every woman's personality and circumstance is so unique and so special to you, we have a free relationship assessment quiz that you can take in the link below. That quiz will give you a customizable action plan to give you the love that you deserve, because you're worthy of it and you do deserve it so much. So take our free relationship assessment quiz right now. And now, back to the video. Only then you want to reach out and you want to reconnect with him. And ideally, you want to do this with a call. And there's a little strategy to this. There's a little like technique that you can use in order to do this in a very nice way. Because what happens if an ex calls a man? Almost every man will immediately think, now I'm looking at this and I see my ex is calling. It's like, fuck, that probably means a bunch of fear that's going through his mind, or anxiety, because that means drama. That means complication, and that means like I have to deal with this right now, but I don't really want to, and that's basically everything that you do not want when you call him. So you very quickly need to reframe that. You need to keep it very light. You need to keep it very smooth and genuine and kind. And you also, when you call him, it's like, hey, I only have a minute of a time, but I just thought of you. I saw the NBA is coming to Germany, and I know how much you love basketball and how much you love the NBA, so I just want to make sure you've seen that. That's why I'm reaching out to you. So first of all, now, this association that he probably had in the beginning when you were calling is fear, anxiety, drama, complication. But because you've kept it in this very smooth, simple, kind, nice way, and you actually did a really nice gesture, and you did something really, there was no request, there's no ask for him, there's nothing else but positivity in that call and in your vibe and in your energy. Now all of a sudden it gives him the opportunity, rather than connecting and associating you with drama and challenges and complication, it's positivity and kindness and something beautiful. And this is really what you want. So now you've pre-framed it already. It's like you don't have much time because you're out with your friends, or you're just like jumping into a taxi or whatever else it may be. But you thought of him because you saw this, it reminded you of him, so therefore you just wanted to give him a quick call. So now you had this quick call, and then you asked him, like, how are you doing? How's everything in your life? Chit chat a little bit. Okay, cool. And then it's like, oh my God, that's amazing for you. I love that. One day I would love to hear a little bit more about you, but now I really have to go. I'm going to meet my friends now. I have to jump into a cab, whatever it may be. And then you finish the call. Now, one, you've given him a very beautiful gift. You just reminded him like, hey, the NBA is coming. And this could be anything. You could have been in a park with him that reminded you of him. Maybe you went to the concert, and that like concert location, wherever you were, you kind of went before with him together. You can use whatever like associates the two of them, where you had a very beautiful connection, where you have a beautiful memory together. And because of that memory, it reminded you of him and the two of you in a very beautiful, nice way. So therefore you reached out. Okay, so with these frameworks and the strategy of taking back your power first, shifting these power dynamics, making some internal shifts, and finding the clarity of what you really want and need. And then with this well-placed hook, you might potentially have an ability to rekindle with him. But you don't want to expect that to happen. And actually, if you go through this process, the no contact, the new power dynamics, you stop chasing this old relationship, maybe you don't even want to have him back. But as long as you're caught up in this emotional turmoil and this attachment to this old relationship that clearly didn't work, that's why you broke up in the first place, right? So once you do all of these things, there is a chance for you to get back together.